Welcome to the first in the series of candidate nights. I just wanted to point out a few things for people that didn't know about the citywide neighborhood council. Lowell is made up of about 9 neighborhoods, and any organization that meets monthly that has minutes so that they could be verified meetings, there's a process to belong to the Citywide Neighborhood Council, and currently there's 10 members, and we meet every other month. So the Citywide Neighborhood Council usually will put together a series of events so that people can meet the candidates, get to know them, ask them questions, become familiar with people that want to have a voice for you at the city. So the Citywide Neighborhood Council has put together a series, and there are 4 events, and out on the desk is the information about the next 3 that are coming up, and this is the first event that Pawtucketville Citizen Council is hosting. And tonight, what we're going to concentrate on is neighborhood issues, safety, zoning, ordinances, taxes, and future vision. So I am going to turn this over to John Hamlet. So I'm Deb Forgione, the chair of the Pawtucketville Citizen Council, and John Hamlet is the co-chair. And anyone that wants information about the Pawtucketville Citizen Council, we have a Facebook page, we have a website, it's pawtuckevillecitizenscouncil.org. And if you need more information, be glad to talk to you after the candidates night. John Hamlet.
Thank you, Deb. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we've asked Chief Jeff Winward to lead us in a moment of silence over this morning's tragedies.
Thank you, John. Once again, we've suffered a terrible tragedy, one of the worst in the history of our nation. Last night, we lost 59 people and over 500 people were injured. So in honor of the victims and their families, I'd like to offer a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just one quick, one more comment I'd like to make. We have LTC in the back. We have Jason, who's filming the candidates night, for 2 really good reasons. You'll be able to rewatch it on LTC, tell your friends that couldn't make it tonight that it'll be on LTC, and the candidates can also review the event so that they can also see the questions that were answered and the concerns that we have. Thank you.
Well, welcome to Candidates Night. This is conducted by the Lowell Citywide Neighborhood Council, which is a collaboration of Lowell's neighborhood groups. My name is John Hamlet. I'm co-chair of the Pawtucketville Citizens Council, and tonight I am your moderator. This series of presentations provides City Council candidates the opportunity to speak with you about their point of view on specific issues. Tonight's topics are finances, taxes, the budget, and development. Our format and schedule for the evening are as follows. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to state their position on tonight's topic. Again, that's finances, taxes, the budget, and development. Then each candidate will receive 1 question. Both the question and the candidate's name are randomly selected, and the candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to that question. And just a word on the questions, we just had the same question. They're all submitted by you. We send out an email and you send us way too many questions. So we've received far more questions than we will be able to use, and we apologize if your question was not one of the 18 that we randomly select. After the questions, Each candidate will have 1 minute to wrap up their platform and thoughts on tonight's topic. And again, tonight's topic, finances, taxes, the budget, and development. If there are no questions, let's get started with the introductions. Should we just start down with Councilor Rourke? And if you will please introduce yourself, and you've got about a minute and a half.
Good evening, John. Thank you, Deb. Thank you very much. My name is Dan Rourke. I'm a Pawtucketville resident. I've been a city councilor for the past 2 terms. First elected in 2013, along with some colleagues here tonight. I first ran on crime. My background, I'm a probation officer during the day down Lower District Court. My degree at college is criminal justice. But over the course of my 4 years on city council, you quickly pick up on things that are just as important: quality of life issues, finances, taxes, and development. So that's why we're here this evening. When you talk about taxes, the most common question that I receive when I'm out talking to people or knocking on doors, and people, they question, why they pay their taxes. And, in a conversation, I would say, to the citizens of Lowell is, when you have a snowstorm, are you happy that your streets get cleared in a clear, quick way? God forbid, if you have a medical emergency, are you happy with the response from your police, your fire, and your emergency services? Your trash is put out, is it picked up on time? And that relates, to how we pay our taxes, how we run the city. We are an urban city. And I think that the City of Lowell does a really good job of keeping the taxes low, with our services are very high. And going forward, that's, I think, what myself and everybody else that's here tonight would stress as far as how we do this and how we go going forward. And that always turns back as well into development. The more we can develop and get that business tax, the commercial tax revenue up, that keeps the residential taxes low. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Marty Hogan. I live in Centerville on Wachusett Street, and I am proud to be here to be one of your candidates for Lowell City Council. First things first, the reason why I'm running is because that I believe that we all want good representation in the City Council. I think we want somebody who can be relied on and people that we can reach out to at all times and really find out what is going on with our city and how we improve our city. I'm a IT manager by profession, and I work for a nonprofit in Boston. And in my job, I like to bring order to chaos. A lot of times, it's a big job, but it's something I like to roll up my sleeves and get into. If you want to talk about the 4 areas tonight: finances, taxes, budget, and development. They're all related, they're all connected to each other, and they all affect every one of us. We pay, and I know because I own a house over in Centerville, we pay quite a bit of money to live here in the city of Lowell. And our taxes are going to be going up. So what we request for that is good representation, people that we can reach out to and have our issues taken care of when they need to be. City Council really is about having the connection to the city and us as the people elected to try to make your lives better and help you out. There's a lot of things going on. We'll get into it tonight, but one of the things is the school, the high school, and that's going to affect us a lot. So I look forward to tonight. I look forward to talking with you all. Thank you.
My name is Sakari Chow. I'm a first-time candidate. I want to thank Debbie and the moderator for organizing for all of you to come here tonight. I am honored to be speaking in front of you. I came to Lowell in 1986, and I grew up in the acre, and I can tell you it's very difficult to grow up in the acre and in poverty. I walked to school every day, and I had a chance to go to Phillips Academy, For 4 years after Phillips Academy, I went to Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota, where I studied political science and economics. I came back to Lowell because I want to raise my family and start planting roots, like many of the members here who has families, grandparents, ancestors that pretty much have built the city of Lowell. My wife and I, we ran a mortgage business in downtown Lowell for about 7 to 8 years, and I still work for a small business, a small law firm in downtown Boston. I am very concerned, very aware of the type of tax it has impact on small businesses in Lowell, and also on the families and the hardworking families that get taxes taken out the checks, and also the increases in expenses through city expenses would trickle down to fees and other costs, especially the elderlies. When the elderlies are on fixed income, we have to be very, very sensitive about that. One of my goals when I'm on city council, I want to make sure that we control city expenses, control it, while also encourage development throughout the city.
Thank you very much. My name is Robert Gignac, and I've been fortunate enough to represent you on the Lowell School Committee for 2 terms. During the day, I'm a director of finance and operations for an independent school in Cambridge. And when I was hired for that position, the school was running a deficit of $250,000. And within a year, I turned that organization to a profit-bearing school. So I'm hoping to bring those skills to the Lowell City Council. On the school committee, I'm the chair of the finance subcommittee. We've had some difficult budget times in the school system, and we've been able to manage our budget well by making responsible cuts without affecting the classroom. As far as taxes goes, the only way we're going to be able to provide relief to our residential taxpayers is by bringing in new businesses through new, unique ways of marketing the city. And I think we should be developing a comprehensive marketing plan, not just a hashtag or a slogan, but a comprehensive plan that tells potential businesses exactly what they're going to get when they move into the city. I thank you very much for being here.
Hi, my name is Matthew LaLasher. I'm a first-time candidate and a resident of Pawtuckaville, born and raised in the Highlands, and last name may be familiar. My grandfather is Ed LaLasher, who the ballpark is named after here in Lowell. So I've grown up around this throughout my life. This is the first time I've tried to step forward and be a member of a new generation, similar to some other individuals who are here, who I believe are the next wave moving forward in this city that are going to have to make the decisions that are going to be right for our parents, for our friends, families, and our children. And there is no bigger decision and there's no bigger role for the council than how we spend your money, because it is your money. And throughout the evening tonight and throughout the rest of the next 5 weeks, I think it's an important thing for everyone to pay attention to. What large vision are we putting out there for how we're going to move forward? How are we going to develop additional income through growth of business, through growth of industry, so that all of the tax revenue that's flowing in can then be utilized back out for the services we all long for? Residential tax rates cannot continue to go up at an increased rate to the fixed income community and all communities, but we still have things we need to do here in the city. We have the building of a school, we have a police station and a fire station that will need services as we move forward, and without growth, we will struggle to do that. So I ask all of you, as we look forward out into these next few weeks, to think and listen to what the candidates have to say for what their vision is. I think downtown and that development and that growth is one of the major keys to how we will step forward, and I hope you'll give me the opportunity to continue to express that over these next few weeks. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I want to thank the PCC for organizing this evening, and I want to thank all of you for attending this event here tonight. But my name is Corey Belanger. I have been serving on the City Council for almost 3 terms, and I am running for re-election again, first and foremost because I love this job. I enjoy serving you, the residents of Lowell, to enhance your everyday quality of life. And I'm running solely on my record and my accomplishments as a city councilor. Now, it is clear Lowell is a safer, more vibrant city than it was just a few years ago. As we all know, the headlines have been dominated by a certain project going on in the city, but every facet of government is going in an upward trajectory in this city since I have been elected. On a public safety front, we have 250 sworn police officers, the highest number in decades. 213 firefighters, again, the highest number in decades. Statistics show gang violence is down. Crimes committed with gunfire are down dramatically. We are a safer city than we were just a few years ago. Regarding economic development, we have experienced almost $9 million in growth in the last 4 years. Yes, some of that is from refurbishing old buildings, but a majority of that is from business-friendly incentives to attract businesses here to the city of Lowell, to ease the burden on you, the taxpayer. I remind you, the tax base for the commercial level is almost double. So that is something that we have to put a focus on, and we will continue to do that if you see it clear to re-elect me. We will continue our commitment on education by meet or exceeding net school spending. So I just want to remind all of you that with all the hype of what is going on in the city, everything is going in the right. We're not perfect. We have work to do, and I will continue that momentum if you see it clear to elect me. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rita Mercia. I've been honored to serve you as an elected official for 22 years. I want to thank the PCC for everything that you do to make this neighborhood so vibrant. You are the eyes for us so that we can address your concerns. Thank you to the people that are here this evening. You could be anywhere else. You could be watching TV. You could be doing many other things, and yet you're concerned about this city, so you're here. Through my votes for the past 2 years, I have supported $3 million in additional funding to the Lowell Public Schools, continued funding for 250 police officers, the highest level in decades, and 213 firefighters, Chief. You realize, and you're very happy about that, which means less company closing and less overtime while maintaining public safety. We heard you 2 years ago. You said public safety. We delivered with that. Not me alone, this council. We targeted many things. I want you to know that I'm very honored to have served you, and I want you to know I'm pursuing an agenda. One of fairness, vision, careful planning, and the best representation that you truly deserve. I offer myself as a messenger, a link between you, the public, and government. I will work hard as I have for 22 years if you will still have me. Please don't, I know that I'm old, but I'm not dead yet. And on Tuesday, November 7th, I am respectfully and asking you if you could keep me by casting one of your 9 votes for me. I'm number 6 on the ballot. Thank you very much, and congratulations to you for being here this evening.
Thank you. Thanks. My name is Ed Kennedy. I'm a candidate for re-election. I am a lifelong resident of Lowell. I have a master's degree in public administration, and for the past 2 years, I've had the honor of being your mayor. I've run, and I'm running this time basically on a platform that consists of 4 different areas: economic development, the neighborhoods, public safety, and education. Economic development has always been at the forefront of my platform because I think it's important. It's the only way that we must continue to expand the tax base in order to keep taxes down and be able to provide high-quality public services, which is what we do. And I think taxes have gone up, but gone up moderately over the past few years. It was several years ago when I supported a 0 tax increase, and we did that, but we can't do that every year. But I think as in your households, as taxes go up periodically or every year a little bit, I think it's reasonable to expect that city expenses are going to go up a little bit every year as well. I think in terms of public safety, everybody would agree that that this city council has increased public safety dramatically. I would just point to an FBI report which indicates that crime is on the rise throughout the United States, but crime in Lowell has been down. Now, those are just statistics, but what really is important is do people feel safe in their city? And feeling safe in your city, preserving the neighborhoods, and providing quality education is important to the residential portion of the tax base, and that's important to the city. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Milanazzo, a candidate for re-election to the City Council. I'm finishing out my 6th term. Again, thank you to BCC and thank you all for being here. The 4 topics that we're talking about this evening, finance, taxes, budget, and development, in my opinion, are really all related, and they really are the hallmark of the success that this city has seen over the past few years. If you look at the finances, between Connor Baldwin and Rodney Conley, who were in the chief financial officer and the assistant financial officer, they do just a tremendous job putting a performance-based budget together so that you as residents can really measure the success that we're having. If you look at the taxes, $14.92 for the residential tax rate. We've been able to keep that tax rate low because we have been able to expand on the commercial side. Economic development has been very strong over the last few years. In a prior life, I was actually the director of the Planning and Development Office in Lowell, and we were able to bring about a lot of development, and that continues today. I would say to you all that the Planning and Development Office in this city is second to none in the Commonwealth. Just look what's going on at the Hamilton Canal Innovation District, the Ayer City over Tanner Street. We're talking about doing a big development there. Thorndike Exchange, again, all adds to the commercial tax rate, and the council has always taken the courageous position of doing tax increment financing in order to make sure these developers actually come to Lowell. We're a gateway city. We're competing with other gateway cities. And as far as the budget's concerned, it's a $365 million budget. We depend an awful lot on state aid, local aid. So my hat's off to the state delegation. I call them the delivery team, because anytime, and we work in partnership with the state delegation to bring the needed resources in order to make sure that we have a strong budget, strong finances, keep residential taxes low, and continue economic development to benefit the entire community. Again, Jim Milanazzo running for re-election. Thank you.
Good evening tonight. My name is Dave Conway, and I'm a candidate for Lowell City Council. I was born and raised in Lowell, and I'm a proud graduate of Lowell High School. I've spent many years in public education. Lowell High School as a teacher and housemaster for over 37 years. I spent 8 years on the Lowell School Committee, and I'm also very proud to be the principal of the Hellenic American Academy presently. Some of the reasons I'm running for City Council are the following. Number one, to keep Lowell High School downtown. We've talked about it numerous times. It's all tied in with the budget. I feel that certainly is the most efficient and fairest and the cost effective. So those are things that we will be discussing at another time. Number two, protect public safety. I will fight to reinstate the Crime Stoppers Hotline and the Safety Task Force. These are 2 areas that really helped out with the safety of our city. Obviously, number 3, economic development, and we'll, again, hopefully get into that tonight. And number 4 is to limit pay raises. The City Council recently gave its own members for the next term a 67% increase. If elected, I will not take that raise, and I will support a city ordinance to require that the voters of Lowell approve any future pay raises for City Council members. I'm Dave Conway, and I'm a candidate for Lowell City Council, and I humbly ask for one of your 9 votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, the Pentucket Neighborhood Associations, for hosting this, and thanks all of you for being here. My name is Wesley Nunes. I am a resident of the Highland. I have 2 kids. One is 18, second year at UMass Lowell, a product of Lowell High School. You know, I've been advocating and supporting communities and those who have no voice for years. I feel that we need to do a better job at listening to and engaging community in making decisions such as on finance, taxes, development. Economic development is about creating job and opportunity for our residents closer to home. And you know, community economic development, sometimes people think about big companies coming in. You need to also take care and nurture the existing one, because the community economic development not only create job, but also safe, vibrant street and safe communities as well. So those are some of the things that that I care about.
The issues involved in my campaign will be a number of them. One of those is, like candidate Conway indicated, the high school, the location of the high school, where it should be, is also will have a tremendous impact on tax on our residents, especially those who on fixed income. So we need to take care of everyone, including those who live on fixed income and all of our students. So thank you for this opportunity. I hope come November 7th, I would, receive one of your 9 votes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Leahy. I'd like to thank the PCC for having us tonight, and I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight to hear what we all have to say. Over the last few terms, this council has been very strong on public safety. As one of the councilors mentioned, more than one has mentioned, we've added more policemen, more firemen than we've ever had. And it's because safety is number one, and we want to make sure that you feel safe in your neighborhood. Economic development, we've brought new companies in, created new jobs, and that is going to help bring down the tax base to help the residential tax rate. And education, we put more money into education. We've met our net school spending over the years, past few years with this administration, which is very important. But what's close to my heart is neighborhoods, and I've been a strong proponent of the neighborhoods since I've been elected. If we don't have strong and vibrant neighborhoods, we don't have anything as a city. So if you're not happy where you live, if you're not happy with your neighborhood, we can't be happy. So I think it all starts in the neighborhoods, and it grows out from there. And I thank the neighborhood groups for informing us, for having their monthly meetings. And believe me, it's a lot of work for us to get there. It's even more work for them and for you to come out monthly and do what you do. But it does help because everybody needs to work together to have a strong neighborhood, a strong city. So again, my name is John Leahy. Thank you all for coming out.
Hi, good evening. My name is Karen Cirillo, and I'm running for City Council, and I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I'm running for City Council because I want to give back to you, the people of Lowell, what you've given to me, which is a stronger and healthier life. And I feel I can do that by incorporating what I do at my job every day, which is talking to owners, architects, structural engineers, by coming together as a team and working on construction projects and working on them until completion. And that's what I want for the city of Lowell. I want to have everyone come together because we're important. You're all so very important to this city and the workings of it. And I want to come together as a community and work towards the betterment for all. Thank you so much.
Good evening. John, Deb, thanks for doing this. Everybody, thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Joseph Boyle. I'm a Highlands dad, an urban planner, and an educator. In 4.5 years as Lowell's neighborhood planner, and in 5 years on the Lowell Planning Board, I have seen the city's revitalization up close. I have come to understand the principles that have made Lowell a model of urban redevelopment of older industrial cities in the post-industrial era. And I'm running for City Council in order to ensure that the City Council, City Hall, and the city government as a whole remain true to those values that have worked for us. On the basis of a sound fiscal situation, the basis of keeping taxes moderate, keeping services where they need to be, is sound, healthy growth and development in our city. It's important to have a good marketing plan. It's important to have good economic development plans. It's important to try to recruit and attract specific businesses. But what underlies it all is that our city, our downtown, our neighborhoods, our neighborhood commercial districts are all growing and developing in a manner that's sound and sustainable and healthy. We cannot look out for our fiscal situation one parcel at a time. We can't look out for our fiscal situation only thinking about one big score and putting everything else to the side. We need to look at how it all fits together. As a member of the planning board, I would say I was strongly pro-economic development. I approved any number of projects. I was particularly happy whenever I saw an industrial project. But sometimes you had to say no. There was a proposal to put a private dorm on Upper Merrimack Street. It would have brought in a lot of tax revenue to the city, but it would have been damaging to the neighborhood. It would have been damaging to the Upper Merrimack Street commercial district, and it would have ultimately ended up being bad for our economic development, bad for our neighborhood, and bad for our fiscal situation in the long run. And that's how I believe we need to look at our fiscal issues. Strong, healthy, coordinated development is the key.
Good evening. My name is Dan Finn, and I would like to start off by saying thank you to the PCC for having us here tonight, and I want to thank everyone that's in attendance. We appreciate you coming out. I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm 45 years old. I grew up in the city. I'm a lifelong resident. I'm married, and I have 4 children. I work for the Middlesex Sheriff's Office. I've worked there for the last 20 years. I'm a Deputy Assistant Superintendent, and I'm in charge of policy and procedure at the Bricker House of Correction. I have a 3-pronged platform: economic development, public safety, and our educational system. I believe public safety and economic development go hand in hand. If we want to revitalize downtown, we need to have a safe place for people to go to. And in order to do that, we need to have funds in order to give the public safety officers the staff and the supplies that they need to do what they need to do. If the residents of the city and the visitors of our businesses do not feel safe in our city, they will not come to our city. Our school system needs to be addressed. We have to reorganize our preventive maintenance program that addresses our failing infrastructures. We also need to build a state-of-the-art 21st century high school outside of downtown. Thank you again for coming tonight. I appreciate you being here.
Good evening. My name is Rodney Elliott, and I want to thank the PCC. I want to thank you folks, and I want to thank LTC for coming down to tape this so other folks can see it. I want to thank the voters, and I want to let them know that I feel I am privileged, and I am still humbled 20 years later to serve as your city council. I don't take one vote, I don't take one meeting, I don't take anything for granted, and I will continue to make promises and keep them in the next 2 years. For the last 20 years, I've been a member, and I've chaired the Finance Subcommittee for the Lowell City Council. It's something that I focus on, my education. I have a bachelor's and master's in public administration and a second master's in political science. I understand municipal finance. I am a former administrator for the town of Groton, and I'm a budget analyst. I feel our city finances couldn't be stronger. If you look at our bond rating and what that translates into, when we have to go and bond money, we get a very low interest rate, saving literally hundreds of thousands of dollars for the city. Our stabilization funds are solid. We have in excess of almost $40 million in reserves, and the city is fiscally sound. I think that's important. We focus on our audit findings. We have improved our internal weaknesses, and we have a very good finance team. We have funded level budgets as best as we can during some very difficult times to keep taxes low. On economic development, my day job now is I'm a director of brownfields redevelopment throughout the state. I feel it's not only it's important to bring in to redevelop hazardous waste sites, but with Kronos, and we have big companies, Kronos and others, we have a lot of small businesses, and I think that's almost as important. So I ask for your vote on November 7th, and I thank you for your support in the past.
Good evening. My name is Bill Samaras. I'm running for my 3rd term as City Councilor to Lowell. A little bit about my background. I am your former headmaster of Lowell High School. And a couple of things that I was very proud of. One, that Newsweek magazine listed Lowell High School as one of the most outstanding urban high schools in the country. And 2, Boston Magazine said Lowell High School was one of the best managed suburban or urban high school in the state. Very proud of that. But how did I do it? I worked with the students. We talked about their future. I worked with the parents. They talked about the present day needs, what they had to do to make sure that their children got what they expected of them. And I took those skills to be able to listen and to work with people to the city council. And I feel that that has helped very well. I'm chairman of the Subcommittee on Economic Development, chairman of the Subcommittee on Education, and a member of the Neighborhood Corps. Those are very important. And when we talk about the neighborhood, one thing I did learn when I came on board as a city councilor, that I found that it was very important that I attended as many, if not all, of the neighborhood meetings that I could, be it Centerville, Pawtucketville, the Highlands, Belvedere, downtown, South Lowell. I learned more. As city councilors, we want to make sure your tax rate is okay. We want to make sure that if we have to increase taxes to give you more services, you understand the process. If there's a problem with the tax rate, we have to make sure that we have an open discussion. And the neighborhood groups are the strongest allies in the city for doing this. And you have to keep this up because you make us better city councilors. And we create a better city. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jim Leary, and I thought I was going to be at the beginning because I'm off the edge, but apparently I'm at the end, so I apologize. I've been honored to serve you on the City Council for 2 years. That was my first term as a City Councilor. In addition, I was honored to serve 10 years as a school committee member, where I was also a chair of the Finance Subcommittee, and a member of a high-quality team of individuals that delivered a high product to you. This Wayne School is one of the best middle schools, not only in the city of Lowell, but in the state of Massachusetts. We have an excellent public school system. One of the things I've also been honored is working with a team of city councilors. Every single city councilor I've had motions with, or co-motions with. And I just want to talk about two of them really quick. One of them was in regards to the budget, looking for ways that are not working efficient. I had a motion with Councilor Leahy regarding combining the maintenance department and the Department of Public Works in an effort to improve services and improve maintenance within our school system, and hopefully to save money. Because in an area where we're trying to keep taxes down, you need to look for ways that are effective. The second one was with Bill Samaras, looking at different areas in terms of Bridge Street, and looking for the small businesses, looking for ways of generating tax revenue. My experience is in the private sector. I've worked either owning my own business, or right now I'm a vice president of a startup insurance company. I know what it takes to start businesses and what businesses look for to come in to a city. What that really means is that's your tax revenue. Without having good small businesses, good medium-sized businesses, and a few large ones like Kronos, and a great success story, Maycom, is staying here in the city of Lowell, that's how you reduce the tax rate. Thank you very much and have an outstanding evening. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Please join me in giving our candidates a hand. Candidates, as you have now learned, there are two very important people sitting directly in front of you, one in yellow and one in red. They will be timing you this evening. The first warning is a sign. The second is the tinkle of a bell. And the third is one or the other flies onto the stage and tackles you to the ground. We're now going to the question and answer portion of this evening. Just to repeat, each candidate will receive one question. Both the question and the candidate's name will be randomly selected. I have the questions, and Deb, way over there, has the candidates' names. Once we read the question, we will read the candidate's name, and that candidate has 2 minutes to respond to that question. Are there any questions from our candidates? The first question is, can you suggest ways the ordinances we already have in place can be more effectively enforced without increasing the budget?
Martin Hogan.
Would you like me to repeat the question? Can you suggest ways the ordinances we already have in place can be more effectively enforced without increasing the budget?
Well, one of the ways that we can go about enforcing the ordinances and making everybody more knowledgeable about them are that we can make them publicly available. We have a website right now for the city, and as an IT manager, I find that it's very hard to check and to look at the information that we're on there. To be honest, the old website, and I'm not sure if a lot of people were aware of this, but the old website looked a lot better than the new one. I'm not putting anybody down for that. I wasn't involved in it, but I've gone through redesigns on websites, and that just seems to me like the first area for our neighbors and everybody in Lowell to learn about the ordinances and the rules that the city passes and laws that are in effect. I basically think that as an IT manager, it's something that I would like to be involved in or in the discussion, and it's something that I really would like to be part of the city council for. I mean, I am in the IT profession. I've worked in it about 15 years, 20 years now almost, and I don't see that on the city council right now. I don't see a technological person. No offense to anybody that's on the council right now, but we do have a issue with high-speed internet being here, things of that sort. So the website is the #1 thing that I think we can use without increasing any of the budgetary needs, and just the way we go about designing it. But that's really where I come from. Looking for stuff, how much I'm going to pay in taxes, where I'm going to pay them, where I can pay a bill, how I can find information of my polling locations. It's hard enough to find that stuff. And I couldn't even I had to search for a long time to find out all the polls. We had an election, that should be way out there. And in fact, since the Lowell Sun got a couple of them wrong in the preliminary, I'm sorry, I think that's really where we can start working on that. So that would be my area is getting the information out there and being open about it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is even longer than the last question. Do you think the city should raise property taxes on non-owner occupied residential properties to generate money for code enforcement? Please explain.
David Conway. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Can you
can.
hear me now?
Yeah. Dave Conway?
Thank you.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Please.
Do you think the city should raise property taxes on non-owner occupied residential properties to generate money for code enforcement? Please explain your response.
Thank you for the question. The tax situation is obviously it's a balancing act, and it almost pits one group against another group. I think that when you talk about the balance and you talk about an absentee landlord, I think that that's something that we have to look at very carefully. And as far as I'm concerned, the residential part, people obviously don't want their taxes raised. The business does not want the business does not want their tax raised either. And I think the homes or pieces of property that are absentee, as far as I'm concerned, I think that would probably be the first area that I would go after. And if we have to raise taxes, that would be the area. Again, there's no doubt about it that taxes are going to go up. With this school, we have seen it when we're talking about a $350 million piece of property, and also when we're talking about the police station, that needless to say is going to be a problem. And looking at those taxes, there's no doubt about it, the taxes are going to have to be raised. However, keeping all that in mind, one has to be very, very careful and very aware that we don't want to scare businesses away. We certainly don't want to scare the homeowner away either. But that's why it's very important to take a look at each and every dime that we bring in from taxes and spend it as wisely as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you be in favor of a tax increase to support an increase in teachers' salaries?
Robert Gignac.
Thank you very much. And as a member of the negotiating team, I'm very familiar with increasing teachers' salaries. I would say no. I think we, as a school department, it's our responsibility to use the funds that we receive from the city and the state government to really be creative and live within our means. I know the council, the city administration, and the state delegation have been very generous to us over the past few years, and that's something we haven't seen in the past. And as we look to increase salaries, not just teachers, but across the school system, we have to be creative in our budgeting, and I think we have over the past few years that I've been elected. So thank you.
Thank you.
Is there another microphone up there? Okay, thank you. So,
Now that the city has taken possession of the bridges that were once owned by Enel, where in the budget does the city of Lowell allocate funding to maintain these bridges long-term? Will we require a tax increase to support the maintenance of these bridges?
Corey Belanger.
Thank you, John. Great question, because through the Tiger Grant, City of Lowell was awarded $13 million towards these bridges. Now, Enel, as we all know, in Pawtucketville, was not a good community partner. So we decided, the council decided full well, that we're best off by owning these bridges, because by Enel owning them, they were under different codes than they were. They could literally shut a bridge down, make it one way, and keep it literally for an eternity, and they don't go under the same ground rules as we do as a city. And we were being hurt. UMass Lowell was being hurt. Our city and our residents was being hurt from it. So we felt it was in the best interest to acquire these bridges. However, it's an old city with old infrastructure, and when you start rehabilitating old bridges, cost overruns arise, and sure enough, that's what happened. So we surmised about a $6 to $7 million override on the cost of the bridges. So by keeping your eye on the ball, this council always finds a way. We gave the manager the tools to get it done and explain to him. So what he had done in his administration is worked with Mass DOT and cut that deficit in half to about $3.5 million. So in the grand scheme of things, that's not a bad deal. So he believes through minimal budgetary changes, no tax increase, these bridges will be not only owned, but maintained with no future tax increase. And that is in the best interest of our city and our residents, and our biggest partner in this neighborhood, UMass Lowell, is being hurt from it. Buses would have to find alternate routes to get downtown. It resulted in traffic congestion on Broadway Street, on Market Street. It was a nightmare. So it is in the best interest that we did take those bridges over. The council decided unanimously to do that, and I stand by that decision. And again, it will be handled without any tax increase, people. So thank you very much, John.
Thank you. The next question. Lowell is constantly striving to be a destination city. Many ideas, from festivals to attracting, developing artist workspace, have been tried. In your opinion, what programs would you advocate for?
Vesna Noon.
Could we pass the microphone? Yeah.
You're right. Lowell has prided ourselves. Diversity is one of Lowell's greatest strengths. That needs to be reflected in the city government, in all levels, and that does not reflect it. We need to do that. Those is areas where we can engage people from different background and community in the decision-making process of our city. It'll be, we're talking about finance, taxes, development. Those is areas that we can, as a council, cannot do it alone. We need to engage every neighborhood and talking about those projects, ranging from the Canal Bridge, the cost overrun there, right? You have to do it, really. You have to do it as a community. Without fixing that bridge, City Hall will be an island in and of itself, disconnected from everything else. We don't want that, do we? And if we disconnect ourselves from each and every community that we pride ourselves because of our diversity, then we wouldn't have a whole and complete community. It's disconnected. So I would support having a continued dialogue and not only saying that we celebrate this diversity, this is one of our great strengths, but also do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our neighbors would like more ordinance enforcement. How do you propose we do that?
Daniel Finn.
Our neighbors would like more ordinance enforcement.
Okay,
How do you propose we do that?
I propose that we work as a community, we find out what the issues are, we bring them to City Hall, we discuss them in front of the City Council, and we work together to do whatever is need to be done to make the ordinance happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. If there was a surplus in the city's budget, more money coming in than coming out, where would you like to see the money go?
Joe Boyle.
This is a very good question, and the answer to this question, it depends on when this happened. Presumably, we would be running a surplus only in the best of economic times. To be surprised by there being extra money laying around beyond what was budgeted and what was needed for the city, we're talking about the economy cranking pretty good. So under those circumstances, if we find ourselves with a surplus, the first place I would look would be particularly expensive debt that the city is carrying. If we could pay off or reorganize our debt in such a way that we're getting lower bond rates on it, that would be a place to put the money. If we have some extra money that could save us a great deal more in the long term, I would look at that. Another place I would look at it, which works in a similar way, but is a little more directly observable by people, would be maintenance issues, getting a little bit ahead instead of being a little bit behind in terms of maintenances of roads, of bridges, and of infrastructure. Getting work done maybe 2 or 3 years before the bridge is about to fall down, rather than waiting until 6 months before the bridges fall down, makes it a cheaper project. Everybody would love to keep up with, get ahead of the curve on maintenance instead of constantly being behind it. It's not just the smart thing to do, it's also the fiscally smart thing to do. The projects are cheaper, it ends up working out for us in the long run. So those are really the two areas I'd look first, is particularly expensive debt that the city was carrying and opportunities for preventative maintenance or long delayed maintenance that would result in a cheaper project now instead of a more expensive project down the line when it was planned.
Thank you. Is the commercial tax rate in Lowell becoming prohibitive to attracting new business And is it preventing the current business base from moving out of Lowell?
Karen Cirillo.
Hi, could you just read that one more time, please?
Is the commercial tax rate in Lowell becoming prohibitive to attracting new businesses, or preventing the current business base, or encouraging the current business base from moving out of Lowell?
Well, I would have to look at that because my goal is to also talk with the businesses and find out what is working with them, for them, and what is not working for them. I want to make sure that all the businesses are working to top proficiency, and so that we can keep them in Lowell. And we can bring more businesses into Lowell when we find out what is working for the businesses and what is not working for the businesses, and how we can best support them. So thank you.
Thank you. Do you think the current administration is doing a good job with the city budget? What would you do to improve it?
Sokari Chow.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, John, for the question. And I have a few guys here who made the question call to me as well. I want to thank the audience for being so patient and compliment you for sitting through with us. The current administration, they have done a good job, but as always, there's room for improvement. With the budget, I think we could look at different ways of spending money. One of the main issues that came up in discussion of the main issues that I'll talk about, because about a single issue is election, is we need to probably invest more money in the new police department. We need to look at the fire department. Through canvassing, I talked to some firefighters. I know that there's some money increase to it, but the current administration, they have to do a good job. But we need to look at some other ways of spending money. There are many areas of the neighborhood. Part of canvassing through the Pawtucketville, a lot of people say, they're pretty happy, but they need some city investment. For example, the boulevard, we need to have some maybe more signage, maybe just control some of the activities, make sure that the level of noise is not too loud, that's distracting the quality of the residents here. A lot of people invest, they buy homes here to have a good quality of life. But we need to spend some investment money in different parts of the neighborhood. Some neighborhoods throughout Lowell, the Acre, the Lower Highlands, we don't get much attention into developing repairing the streets, fixing the streets, the street lights. So those are the areas that I would put money into, the areas that the city normally don't pay attention to.
Thank you. I will preface this question with the observation that Chief Winward is no longer in his seat, but is still standing in the back of the room. Does the fire department have the right amount of personnel?
John Leahy.
Could you repeat the question now that the chief's here?
Does the fire department have the right amount of personnel?
What do you think, Chief? Yes, no? Okay. I think they do. Numbers are high. This chief has been doing a great job with recruitment. We're working together as the council, trying to get them the equipment they need, the fire trucks, the turnout gear, which is very important to their safety and their health. So yes, I think that the fire department is doing very well. We've had less closures, less overtime, and the guys, they do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. What would you do as a counselor to attract more middle and upper class families to Lowell relative to the residential tax rate? Should the rate be promoted as an attraction, or is it too high?
Rodney Elliott.
I think that the residential tax rate is an attraction to middle-income families. I also think what Lowell offers to middle-income families is also attractive. Not just what's taking place downtown, but the services, the schools. And if you look at our property values, not only in Lowell, and the length of time that residential property stays on the tax rolls, we are attracting middle-income families. So I think the tax rate is reasonable in comparison. If you look at surrounding communities, Lowell is affordable for middle and low-income families. I think we're doing a good job. I think we need to continue to do a good job, and we do that through the budget, through level funding budgets, and keeping new positions at a minimal, investing in public safety. These are the things, as well as education. This city council has clearly exceeded our net school spending for at least 5 years in a row, and I think that's important when we're fully funding and exceeding the state requirement for education. So public safety, what we're offering for our education commitment is important, and I see families coming into the city, and I think the residential rate is something that we can promote. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you give a specific example of how a non-taxable entity like UMass Lowell makes a positive impact to the city's budget?
Rita Mercier.
Well, I'm wondering if you're as frustrated as I am with the amount of taxable properties coming off the tax roll. I understand we want a college community, but when you take a place like Perkins Park and you just pull the rug out of them, that's why this council urged the administration, please hurry up with Sal Lepoli's place so we can transition these people in there. But I will tell you that we don't have the Notini's property. That's $77,000. Perkins Park, $361,000 off the tax roll that we all have to find a way to fill that gap. But all in all, I don't think that the nonprofits are paying enough. That's my personal opinion. I do say that UMass Lowell is trying with the Tiger Grant, and rightfully so. It's only to have Annell let us have those bridges and buy them, and the university has contributed something to that. So that's only fair that they do that. Am I satisfied that they don't pay enough? I'm very disappointed that they could pay a heck of a lot more, and they don't. I'm not trying to put a damper on UMass Lowell. I think their facilities are marvelous, but I like my taxpayers, and they're getting the short end of the stick. That's my opinion. Thank you so much. If I could just say something, I know this is quick. We're talking about the lights and the LED. We're offering LED lights in the city. On tomorrow's agenda, Pawtucketville's going to get 906 LED lights. It's going to be wider and crisper in your area, all over the city, but since we're in Pawtucketville, you're going to get those. So if you don't watch the council meeting, you won't know that 904, lights are coming in. So thank you, thank you for letting me say that.
Thank you.
Just in time for Halloween.
The next question, does Lowell have a sustainable inventory of housing to support future growth of the middle class?
James Milanazzo.
Thank you. That's a very good question. Over the last few years, we've had a number of market rate housing developments take place, especially in our downtown area, which really shows the strength of housing in the community. And I think based upon the success of those projects, be them condominiums or apartments, we're actually bringing in middle-class families into the city. We do have some smaller subdivisions being built in various parts of the city, Pawtucketville included, and as long as we can provide water and sewer, which we can readily do, we're, again, a good product, if you will, for middle-class families coming into the city. And the fact that our residential tax rate is where it is at $14.92, the fact that our banking community is very aggressive between the banks and the credit unions here in providing very inexpensive mortgage money at 3.5%, 4% interest. We're able to attract, again, middle-income people coming into the city. As Councilor Elliott had mentioned, Lowell is a very good bang. You get a very good bang for your dollar here in the city. And the fact that we have a very good public education system. My daughter went from kindergarten through 12th grade here in the city of Lowell, got a very good education, went on to Boston College, went on to Simmons College, and today is a teacher in the town of Chelmsford. But she and her husband chose to live here in the city of Lowell because of house prices and costs. So again, I think she's just an example of middle-class millenniums, if you will, coming into the city, staying into the city, and we are providing that product. And I do think that the university does have a positive effect on attracting people not only to come to Lowell to go to school, but when they graduate to stay in Lowell, because you do get a lot for your money here in the community. We're a very good gateway city. We're a destination city. There's an awful lot to do from the standpoint of the quality of life for the residents here. So I think all of that contributes to the dollar value of attracting middle-class families, not only to come to Lowell, but to stay in Lowell and to give back like you all are doing this evening. So thank you.
Thank you. Relative to the budget, does the city of Lowell have the right amount of police officers?
Jim Leary.
Thank you very much. No, to answer the question, yes, I think we do. I think when you have a $350 million budget, you're looking at the police department, which the administration and this council and previous councils have had a significant investment on it. And the reason they did that is because public safety was a serious concern. The previous council took the initiatives of adding police officers. The current council continued that development of adding police officers and looking for police officers in the correct parts of the city, looking at programs that actually are effective. So the short answer to it is yes. But you're looking at a $350 million budget. You have other areas where we are challenged. We're talking about the turnout gear for the chief. I think the chief was trying to get a grant for turnout gear. When the firefighters go in to fight fires, they wear protective gear underneath their coats. That gear right now is getting old, and that can cause more harm to not only to the individual, life issues such as cancer and what have you, but also it costs us more medical insurance to pay for those diseases. So what we need to do is really look for ways of getting a full complement turnout gear for the chief, for the fire chief. And there's other equipment and infrastructure that we continually need to be creative and make sure we're funding. So yes, human resources are our most important capital, the professional development to make sure they're trained properly, whether you're a law enforcement or fire or a DPW worker, but we also need to make sure they have the tools to make sure they're doing the job. You have an excellent park and rec department. It is probably one of the most thinnest park and rec departments anywhere for the size of city we have. And we have a lot of parks, both from Shed Park right down to any other, like the parks that we have that are small little islands in some of our neighborhoods like you may have in Pawtucketville, the Highlands, or Belvedere. They maintain them and do a pretty good job with that. So quite frankly, when you get at the end of the day, you get a pretty good bang for your buck when you're looking at a $350 million budget. Are there ways to improve it? Are there ways to look at it differently? I think that's what this council has tried to do. I think that's what this administration has tried to do, and I like to be working with folks in order to do that. And I showed one example in terms of the maintenance department, the Department of Public Works. One of the things that we notice in the school department, and coming from the school department, we notice that maintenance is always a back issue for the schools. And one of the challenges is that your maintenance folks can't actually do any real repairs. Your maintenance folks or your custodians actually are just cleaning and vacuuming and waxing floors, where some of them have a lot of talent where they can do basic repairs. The way the structure is currently set up, you can't do that. So one of the things that one motion I had that the council passed unanimously is to look at resolving that and being more like the town of Lexington in terms of having DPW and maintenance working together for the simple things of changing light bulbs, repairing broken windows. And we're not talking HVAC. I think that's an area where you need a specific skill set. But these are the areas that being creative, having a business sense, having common knowledge of how things work and what doesn't work can be very effective with your tax dollar. Thank you.
Thank you. What do you see as your top finance priority if you're elected or re-elected? And what would you do to accomplish this priority?
Danny Rourke.
What do you see as your top finance priority if re-elected? And what would you do to accomplish this priority?
Thank you. I think that every time we have a candidate run for council or a council run for re-election, the ultimate goal is to keep the residential and the commercial tax rate as low as possible while delivering equal services, or if not better, than previously provided. We are soon going to have a large tax increase coming up through the city to fund the high school project. And no matter where it goes, that number is going to go up. Probably anywhere from a couple $100 to a year to $350 or $400 a year. What the city needs to do, the city administration, DPD and so forth, is to go and to continue to attract businesses to come to the city, to bring in commercial tax revenue to lower the tax that the residents are going to have to pay. When we talk about different projects throughout the city, one of the things that I know that myself and other councils have pushed is code enforcement. I think it's one of the few departments in the city that actually outperforms what they get paid. They bring in much more money as a group than what the staff makes. If we provide, Sean Shanahan, the inspectional department, code enforcement, I know that they've been very successful in Centerville, they've been successful over next to the University of Riverside, and they go into the neighborhoods and they do two things. They clean it up, they get it up to code, they get it to where the residents that live there, owner-occupied buildings, want to come and live. And secondly, by cleaning it up and there's revenue coming in, it's a benefit to people who come to the city and it's a benefit to keep people here. And once again, we are going to have a tax increase no matter what happens. So the more ways as a city that we can bring in more commercial tax, any houses that are for sale, they're gone in a week nowadays. So you see that people do want to come here, people want to live here, they want to raise their family here. So in order to maintain that, you want to keep the taxes low. Thank you.
Thank you. What ideas do you have to increase revenue without raising our property taxes?
Edward Kennedy.
Thank you. I could go on about economic development, but everybody's been talking about that all evening long. One of the initiatives that I've been pushing for, because I've had an opportunity to serve on the school committee for the past 2 years, is opening up a day school. And hopefully we'll be able to open up a day school over at the Elks property. And the reason that that is important is because the school department spends every year more than $17 million sending students out of the district to go to school. It's an average of $85,000 to $100,000 per student. If we purchase or open up a day school that would be, say, the size of the Elks, what we would be able to do is bring in most of those kids, more than 150 students. And that would save literally millions of dollars, millions. And the Elks property is attractive to me because there's room for expansion there. So maybe sometime down the road, we could be in a position where instead of sending kids out of the district to go to school, we would be bringing kids in from other school districts and thereby generating revenue for the school department.
And the second reason why I think this initiative is important is because the parents of the kids, of the students who go out of the district for school every day probably have a higher level of anxiety about those students than they should have. And I'm sure those students have a higher level of anxiety because of the length of the bus ride in the morning and the length of the bus ride later on in the day. So if we can do those two things, alleviate some of the anxiety for those parents and also save millions of dollars that could be either be used for other areas of the school budget, then I think that would be, I think that's important, and I think that's a major initiative. And that's something that I'm hoping to get done this year, but if it doesn't get done this year, it's something that will continue to push into the next year. And we're kind of far along. The whole project has a lot of moving parts, but it seems like everything just may come together. And as long as I have a little bit more time, if I could, I just would like to, the chief is sitting in the back, and one of the things, I just would like to throw a bouquet his way, because the city of Lowell, in their budget, was spending almost $1 million in overtime. And the chief cut out several $100,000 in overtime in this year's budget. And that's a significant savings right there. And the only reason, the city council, I'm sure, will all take credit for a piece of that, but that is really just good management on Chief Winwood's part. And so let's give him a hand for that. That's a lot of money. And that probably uses up my time. 5 seconds. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What is the positive impact on the budget by turning Lowell into a college town?
Matthew LaLasher. Natty.
I think other than Bob, I graduated college most recently, so that's probably a pretty good one for me. I think it's a wonderful development to see UMass Lowell grow and become the world-class university that it is. It's been discussed earlier that we have some difficulties that have arisen, as Councilor Mercier has discussed, where if we're losing tax revenue as that growth is happening, we're going to look in a tough situation as we move forward with other development just replacing what UMass Lowell has done. But as someone who went to school at UMass Amherst and saw what a college town looks like in that world, and I've traveled all throughout New England through my job as running an association of 1,900 small businesses, I've seen what a lot of these towns look like. And what it can be is it can be a driver for the areas close to the school, and it can be an attraction for the long-term future of those individuals. If you're coming into this town and you're seeing Lowell at its finest, if you're seeing a world-class university which supports a wonderful time in the life of 18 to 23 or 24-year-olds, that positive experience is something that can be felt throughout everyone inside the city, and for those individuals who are then choosing where they want to spend their future tax dollars, where they're going to start their businesses, which may come through programs like the M2D2 program, which has done wonderful work in the incubator programs as we're moving forward. I think we're going to see those things generate positive benefit for the city. Many large universities look right down the road in Boston, look to see so many wonderful alumni that then give back to the university, that then create nonprofits and other benefits that you'll feel by having a world-class university here in the city of Lowell. So while we have to be careful as we grow and as we see UMass Lowell grow and expand, to ensure that it's being done in a way that doesn't jeopardize or take away from the existing tax base, I do believe at the same time we should embrace it, because it's going to give that vibrancy, that life, and that continued injection of ideas and culture and the things that Lowell has always been known for. And as they grow, we can grow as well. But it's our job as stewards on the council to ensure that's being done in a way that brings positive development and allows us to continue to move forward without increasing the taxes for everybody here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Deb, I believe this is the last question for tonight.
Hang on.
There's still many more questions. What suggestions do you have that will help attract businesses to the city?
Bill Samaras.
What a surprise. Thank you for that question. I mean, talk about what do we do to attract businesses. Well, we've done a lot of things in Lowell to attract good businesses. One, it's the TIF, okay? That's a tax incentive for companies to come in. But when you do a TIF right, it brings the company in, they're going to pay a certain amount of taxes, but what's going to happen is they have a future and the city has a future and will know what type of monies that will be coming in. The thing is, when you want to attract businesses, okay, we talk about the college, we talk about the tax base that erodes because of the university. But remember one thing, University of Lowell is one of the top research college universities in the country now. And companies like Macon, Kronos, and several others that have come recently to Lowell, one of the factors that state why they come to Lowell is because of the university, because of the research, because of that type of help. But also, we're a city that, we had an imagination in the past. We created a baseball park, the LaLashia Baseball Park. We have the Songus Arena, a hockey rink. We have other amenities. And what attracts major companies to come to Lowell? You know, people are concerned about the tax rate, the commercial tax rate. If you do your studies, what major companies look for is the quality of the workforce. Middlesex Community College gives us that. Research abilities and innovation, the university has given us that. Tax incentives, this city council, working together with the city manager, has developed some very fair tax incentives that work for these companies. And then the other aspects, the quality of life issues. That's what it's all about. And I think Lowell is on the cusp of doing many of those things. And also one thing you have to realize about Lowell. Lowell's surrounded by 3 major highways. Think about that. And we also have a railroad. And, you know, the only thing that's missing is a port, but we have a river. Maybe one day we can do something with that. But do you understand Lowell has an ability, and it always has had an ability, to think ahead. And we talk about Lowell becoming one of the best mid-sized cities in the country. Because of the chief and the superintendent of police, they help and make it a safe city, a safe community. But now, with the university and all the work that this city council, working as a team together, has done, I think we've created the incentives for major companies. You're going to see much more in the next couple of years of people and companies coming to Lowell. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's just take a minute and thank all of our candidates for their hard thought out answers. We want our candidates to know that communication is a two-way street and that we also listen to them. And with that in mind, each candidate will have 1 minute to wrap up their platform, and we will start at this end.
Since I'm going first, you're going to forget everything I say, so I'll be quick. My 1 minute. First of all, thank you very much for coming out tonight. My name is Jim Leary. I live here in the city of Lowell, obviously, and I live in the Highlands section with my wife, Kara, and my son, Lorenzo. He attends the Lowell Public Schools. I wasn't born here, didn't grow up anywhere near here. We chose to live here. The city's a great city. And I've been honored to serve on the school committee, and I've been honored to serve on the city council with excellent people. I didn't always agree with them, but they are excellent people, and they care about your community. We have done an excellent job on the city council, if I don't say so myself. We are fighting like rabid dogs over the high school. But the one thing you notice we don't fight about is that we need a high school. We're talking about economic development. Why do businesses locate here? Well, you locate here because you get a good workforce. What brings the good workforce? Well, excellent public schools. Even if you don't go to the public schools, that's why businesses locate there. Now, we argue about location, but we don't argue about we need to improve that high school. Failure to improve that high school will decimate the city. Thank you very much. Have an outstanding night. I respectfully ask for one of your 9 votes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm used to at least an hour for preparation. What do I do now? But no, I want to thank you, everybody, for coming here tonight. It's important. I mean, these meetings are short. We don't have a lot of time to speak, but the thing is, we try to get our message out. And I'm stating to you that we have a city council that's tried to work hard together. Yeah, Jim talked about there's an issue with the high school, but what's important to me as the former headmaster of the high school, we're not fighting that we don't want a high school, we're fighting that we want a high school, and that's what's important. And other things can be worked out. But the thing is, as councils, we've worked on safety. It's important to us. We've worked on ensuring that education, the educational needs of your children are being met. We've met net school spending every year since I've been on the city council, and that's going into my third. I want to go into my third term. That's important. The issue here for all of us is, I think sometimes we want the ideal tax rate. We want to pay as little as we possibly can, get as many services as we possibly can. But you know what? We've got a city, and we do that.
Thank you. My name is Rodney Elliott. I've been married to my wife for 23 years, and we raised 2 daughters, Caitlin and Michaela, in Pawtuckaville, and we're now the proud parents of 3 granddaughters. I love my neighborhood, I love my city, and I'd like to return to the council to continue to serve you. I pride myself on being a hard worker, an independent voice, and a person with an open and honest approach to city government. And I too think that we've made great strides, and it shows in our city. Our finances are solid, our schools are performing better. We've experienced reductions in crime, more businesses coming to Lowell. Streets are paved, sidewalks are being replaced, more police officers on the street. There's still far too many drugs on the street, and trapping our youth in a cycle of addiction. There's too many dilapidated buildings, too many absentee landlords. Traffic is a major problem we need to stay on top of. I want to return to the City Council to continue to use my education, my experience, to make sound, fiscally responsible decisions with your tax dollars. We need to continue to attract new businesses in an effort to lighten the burden. My name is Rodney Elliott. It's been an honor to serve you for the last 20 years. I humbly ask for your vote on November 7th. Thank you so much.
Again, I'm Dan Finn, and I would like to thank the PCC for having us here tonight. I would also like to thank the residents of the city for putting me on the November 7th ballot. I would like to let the residents know that if elected in November, I will represent the entire city. I will not represent one neighborhood or one group, and my campaign consists of many issues and not just one. Again, thank you for letting me be here tonight, and I appreciate your vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joseph Boyle, and like Jim Leary, I chose this city. I chose this city because my wife and I chose this city and chose to raise our family here. I had studied Lowell in graduate school, and I was getting my master's in regional planning, and I was excited to become a part of this wonderful story, this wonderful opportunity of seeing the city pull itself up and rise like a phoenix from the ashes. I've lived here for 16 years. I've served on the planning board. I've served the city as a planner in the Division of Planning and Development, and I've come to understand the principles that have underlied that success. Principles like being a walking city, principles like historic preservation, respectful and effective community policing, having a strong local banking sector, local small banks and credit unions instead of being dependent on the big extractive national banks. These principles are what underlies Lowell's success, and they are what the policymakers in the city should be basing their decisions on, should remain true to this vision that has worked so well for us. That's what I'm running for City Council to do. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Karen Cirillo, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here this evening. Actually, what brought me to Lowell was Pawtucketville, and the wonderful Lowell General Hospital Cancer Care Unit. So what impressed me the most was actually Pawtucketville and all of the people in Pawtucketville, and that's actually why I moved to Lowell. I ended up in a little home in Centerville, but I have to say, again, what really impressed me was the Pawtucketville group of people. And don't quote me on this, but my daughter and I, our favorite restaurant is the Egg Roll Cafe. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. My name is John Leahy. Thank you to our hosts. And I had the pleasure of serving on the school committee for 10 years and now on the city council. I love doing this job. I love being out in the neighborhoods every day. And I love the fact that, as Bill always says, when we come to your meetings, Centerville, Pawtuckaville, Belvedere, Highlands, we get a lot of information that helps us. And we can't do it alone. We need your help. And that helps us be better city councilors. So I ask for your vote again. I love doing this job, and I hope to continue. Thank you.
Thank you for hosting this event tonight, and thank you all for coming here tonight to listen to us. I came to Lowell in 1991. Prior to that, I was in Boston. I came to Lowell for a job, tried to build a bridge between law enforcement and the Asian American community. Crime and gang violence was on the rise at the time. Community policing hasn't really started yet at that point, and there's no Cambodian police officers. I work with the district attorney office, Tom Riley. We able to found federal grant to hire the first 2 Cambodian officers. One just retired recently. The other one was out from the force a while ago. And I see Officer Penders in the background. So I know how it works in terms of the community policing. I've been doing that with the district attorney office. How to make community understand the need to be partnered with the police department in fighting crime and make our city and community safer. Thank you.
Good evening. Once again, I'm Dave Conway. I'm a candidate for Lowell City Council, and I want to thank the PCC for hosting this forum, and especially I want to thank you people for coming out. All my life, no matter what job I had, I always surrounded myself with people that were smarter than I am in a particular area. And that's why it's so very important to listen to individuals in the neighborhood like you people. Who knows this neighborhood better than you do? I know I don't. That's why it's extremely important to listen to each and every one of you. And if I'm elected, I will come and I will listen. And I'll tell you right now, when you really think about it, you people are the voters. You people are the bosses. And sometimes councilors, political figures, forget that. And I will not forget that. Thank you.
Again, I'm Jim Milanazzo. Thank you for having us here this evening. I certainly learned a lot and enjoyed the discussion. I'm running for re-election. I've been on the council for 6 terms, and I had the honor to be the mayor in 2010, 2011. It was reported because I actually told the newspaper back in May of this year that I was not going to be running for re-election because I took a new position as director of the Revere Housing Authority. So I'm up every morning at 5 o'clock. I get in my car at 6 o'clock. I drive to Revere. I stay there all day. So I really didn't think I was going to have the time to devote to the city council. But in actuality, it wasn't time for me to walk away. So again, I'm asking you for one of your 9 votes on November 7th because I would like to be at the table and continue the discussions around the high school, around economic development. I'm on the Economic Development Subcommittee. I'm on the Finance Subcommittee. I chair the Zoning Subcommittee and work very closely with John and Deb on a very regular basis. So I do think I have additional things to say and to offer to this community. So I, again, respectfully request one of your 9 votes on November 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you for having us all here. I would also like especially to thank Deb and John. We go to probably 6 or 8 of these candidate nights every election season, and this is one of the best run candidates nights, and it always has been since I've been running for the city council. In case anybody doesn't know it, I am a strong proponent for keeping the high school downtown. I've also tried to be a strong proponent for the Pawtuckaville neighborhood, whether it's been pushing for additional funding for the environmental study for the Rourke Bridge, or funding for the backwater study for the dam, or zoning issues on Varnum Avenue. I've been in support of the neighborhood. And with that, let me just say I'm Ed Kennedy. I'm number 3 on the ballot, and I would hope that each one of you would consider giving me one of your 9 votes on November 7th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. First, I want to say again, thank you very much for allowing 18 of us to come out here to give you our ideas of how we can justify trying to be city council elected or re-elected. I just want to say thank you to LTC. I forgot you before. Great job. This is democracy at its best, and you are participants, and you are allowing us to be here. For the past 22 years, you allowed me to have the opportunity to serve all of the people in this great city, and I was honored to do that. Through my votes for the past 2 years, we targeted problem landlords through the NEED and DOT programs. So we supported capital investment for city-wide paving, sidewalks. Look at the gateways into the city. They look marvelous. Turnout gear for the fire department, DPW vehicle replacement, and much more. If you look at the agenda for tomorrow, you don't have the opportunity. Oh my goodness. 6 houses are being auctioned off, putting back on the tax roll. I'm Rita Mercia, number 6 on the ballot. Please give me another chance. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Sincerely, thank you all for coming out tonight. It means a lot to all of us because we all put a lot into this, and this is sort of our reward, you being here. So thank you again. But my name is Corey Belanger, and I am humbly asking for one of your 9 votes on November 7th. I feel I have worked tirelessly as a city councilor. I have taken this job very seriously. I have been proactive, frequenting neighborhoods, businesses, and events throughout the city. And I'm asking you to vote for me to continue this progress your city has made. Again, not counting what's dominating the headlines right now, your city, our city is doing very, very well compared to most gateway cities throughout the Commonwealth. And I'm asking you to vote for me so we can continue that momentum in public safety and economic development and just overall quality of life in your neighborhoods. We have all made great strides. We are, in no doubt, a better, safer, more proactive city than we were just a few years ago. So I ask you to vote for me, Corey Belanger. You'll find me number 1 on the ballot. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. My name is Matt LaLasher, as you've heard throughout the night, and this city has been part of me since I came out of the womb. I have 3 small children here in Pawtuckaville. I was born and raised over in the Highlands, where my mother still resides today. For my entire life, I've seen people around me that have been leaders, that have moved this city forward. And I'll tell you, through my work, what I do every day, Lowell is in better shape and in a better position than almost any other city or any place that I go to, and we should all be proud of that. But now we step here into the future, into where we head, and see who is going to be guiding us as we step forward. And let's be honest, this is a single-issue election. And that single issue is, who is the right mix of 9 people with experience, youth, energy, to listen, learn, and lead us forward with the foundation that we have on to being the best mid-sized city in America. I tell you, we are that close. We should all be excited. Please turn out and vote this election. It's too important to stay home. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the 3 people in the room that voted for me last Tuesday. I appreciate it. My name is Robert Gignac, and I've been truly honored to represent you on the Lowell School Committee. All jokes aside, I got interested in politics and city government when I was 21, and I was fortunate enough to get elected to the school committee at that time. And I think we've made great strides in the school system, and I think my knowledge, my energy, and my integrity are going to be great additions to the Lowell City Council. I respectfully request your vote in November. Again, my name is Robert Gignac. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Sakari Chow. I'm a new candidate. Actually, I had never run for office or even had an interest in politics ever in my life. And one of the problems that I face when I campaign is they say they cannot say my name, Chow. If I can say Frangione, McCarthy, I think you guys can say Chow. I live in the Highland with my wife who is here tonight. She goes with me everywhere. We work together as a team to raise 2 boys. One is 13, one is 10. Philip Chow and Matthew Chow. They always want me to wave at them on TV whenever I say their name. So Matthew and Philip, they used to play baseball for the PYO here. And if anybody who knows me, I have a small business background. I'm a regular guy. I'm a hard worker. Once a month, I balance the budget with my boss at the small business, and I balance the checkbook with my wife at home. So everybody work hard for one reason, is that to have a good quality of life, to ensure a good retirement, and to have opportunities for our kids. And that's what I work for the city. So my name again is Sakari Chow. Please, November 7, give me one of your votes. I will work 7 days a week for you. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. It's very important. The reason why we're all here is because of you and because we all care about our city, the city of Lowell. Somebody brought up earlier that they were born and raised and all of that. I'd like to start a new saying, Lowell by choice. I'm somebody here who chose to live here because my wife actually brought me here. And I've fallen in love with this, I've fallen in love with this city. And my wife is lifelong here, and it's a great city. My name's Marty Hogan. I respectfully ask for your vote on November 7th, and I do so because I'm somebody who wants to work very hard for you. I'm somebody who wants to listen to you. I'm somebody who wants to work with you. We're supposed to be working for you, so I want you as my boss, and I want you to always be able to rely on me. I look at the city council subcommittees, and one of them is technology and utilities. I'm a technologist. I'm somebody who's in technology, and as I said earlier, we got to think out of the box to do things differently, to get people involved, get people together, and I want to do that. And as far as the high school goes, I'm a downtown guy, have been 100%, always will be, and I ask for your vote humbly. Thank you very much.
This will be the last thank you of the night that John and Deb get. But once again, thank you for coming out, and congratulations to all the candidates that are up here tonight. The questions were difficult, but they were very just, and I thought everybody took the time to answer them in a proper fashion. You could tell they were well thought out. So people came tonight well prepared to take questions, and congrats to you all. Once again, my name is Dan Rourke, Pawtuckaville resident, 2-term councilor looking for re-election. My wife and I chose to stay here. We had the chance to leave years ago, and it was the best decision we ever made. I coach over in the PYO, both my son and daughter, and we've had a blast being here. And to be able to do that for another 2 years, to serve citywide, would be just an honor for me. Some big decisions to be made, and Lowell, let's face it, is on the rise. Over the past 4 or 5 years, that arrow's pointing straight up. I feel honored to be a part of that, and I want to continue to do so. So once again, November 7th, I please ask for your vote. Dan Rourke. Thank you.
We have 2 or 3 items to take care of before we close the meeting, but let's thank our 18 candidates for their contribution to our city. The first item, I'm going to ask the candidates, if they will, to take a few minutes to stick around afterwards, and if you have questions, you can come up and meet them in person if you haven't had the opportunity to talk with them, or if you have further questions. The second is, this is the first of several meetings. Next week, there is a school committee candidate night on Wednesday, October 11th, 10/11. In 2 weeks, another city council meeting, another city council candidate night at Dom Polsky and that is on Monday, October 16th. And there is a city council candidate meet and greet social, which I guess is different from a city council night. It's the final night of the series. It's in 3 weeks, Thursday, October 26th, and that's over in the Highlands. And last but not least, of course, on November 6th is our next Pawtuckettville Citizens Council meeting, and we look forward to seeing you all there. If there are no further questions, I think we can close out the meeting.
On behalf of the Citywide Neighborhood Council and Pawtuckettville Citizen Council, we thank you for coming and have a good evening.